Thank you everyone for being here. If this is an example of vibrant Whangarei, I'm completely baffled. How many have we got here? Well, 20 people if we're lucky. This is very sad. But anyway, you guys are here and that's what matters, and I guess you're looking for answers and that's why you are here. I'm Chrissi McLeod and I'm running as a Go Whangarei team member and very pleased to be part of a team that is really going to take this town somewhere. My working career started in the 70s in the council offices in Te Puke. I've owned my own manufacturing and retail business in Tauranga, and I'm now developing the old jail and the CBD into backpackers and travellers accommodation, bringing a little bit of life and vibrancy, hopefully, into our CBD. So, you know, I know how difficult it is to start a business in Whangarei, with all the unnecessary huge costs, the development fees, overinflated rates and red tape. It's not easy. Out-of-town potential retailers and businesses have done feasibility studies on Whangarei and they've found it doesn't stack up. So no wonder we have so many empty shops. And to top it off, many of our locals are reluctant to shop in the CBD because they're sick of getting parking tickets by the over-eager meter wardens. And you know, they're wanting to pounce on you the moment your meter has expired. And I'm sure you've all noticed how many wardens are around town. And look out if your warrant and rego are overdue, you'll be stung for that as well. This does not provide a friendly and vibrant city for our locals, tourists and visitors. Like Dave Blackley, who is standing for Mayor and part of our Go Whangarei group, I have seen growth and prosperity in Tauranga and Mount Whanganui, and I believe our Go Whangarei team can achieve the same. We need to attract jobs and skills, investment into our district. As a mother and a grandmother, my wish is to have my family here in Whangarei. But alas, after several years, my daughter and grandchildren returned to Tauranga due to lack of job opportunities. I'm concerned we're losing our children to brighter futures in other locations because we fail to provide the support they need. We have the lowest income per capita in Whangarei. This breeds poverty and frustration. Employment can change people's lives and give them a bright future. Whangarei has all the ingredients to be an even more vibrant city than Tauranga. And by voting for me and my team, we will ensure and encourage new growth and position our district to embrace families and communities and listen to what our communities need. We'll encourage new business and investment, creating employment and a far better future for our young, old, and a more prosperous and vibrant Whangarei. I truly believe that the only way you can provide a vibrant city is to have economic development. And really to do that, we've got to bring new business into our local area. And to be quite honest, there's no reason why new businesses would want to come to Whangarei. We could have all the flash bridges, all the walks you like around the city, all the wonderful shows. That is not going to create a vibrant city. What we need is economic development and growth, and that is actually what the Go Whangarei group stands for.
Okay, so Okay, so just on economic development, it's quite interesting coming from out of the area like yourself. 4 years I've been here. I come here, I wasn't happy with the lack of economic development, so I hosted an economic forum. Okay, so that was during the last election, and you get the main political parties and say, come here for your policies for Northland. The government has given some money towards the Whangarei, so there's been some good fundraising from some philanthropists and that. Tyndall's one, put a lot of money in there. The Whangarei, in my opinion, will create a significant amount of economic development for the city, for the nightlife, accommodation, backpacks, etc. So that will happen, so it is a time thing. Things have changed in this town, but, you know, we need to elaborate on some of your guys' vision and how you're going to bring in that economic development, because, I mean, I'm working on economic development with a government department at the moment, and I'm working with iwi as well to bring in economic development. Talk cheap, you've got to get out there, you've got to do the door knocking, and I can appreciate there's some members on your team that are able to do that, which is good, so I like that. When you talk about the CBD, you've got to tie up with backpackers, is that right? You want to elaborate, how's that going?
Okay, well, really, basically, I'm starting a business in Whangarei, and, you know, what we are needing in Whangarei is more business. Here we need our shops, our retail buzzing, basically. The problem is people from out of town will come in and on the surface they will see Whangarei for what it is. They do the figures and then they realise that actually, you know, the rates are too high. There's no commercial rate breaks. There's so many development fees and resource consents and red tape.
Isn't it a numbers game, but you've got centres out there, right? And I'm opposed to those shopping centres that strip the guts out of the heart of your city. And we've seen that in Hamilton.
Yes.
Okay, we've seen that with the base. Okay, our city was dead. My sister, we're Hamiltonians, we're proud Hamiltonians. She's done well. She bought a building in town and she got the DHB to move in, which we talked back to a friendly council. There were a lot of wheels that needed to turn. She got them happening. That's 600 workers in central Hamilton. It's come alive like that the day they moved in. Okay, so those sort of conversations need to be happening to get in people here, like government departments from the big cities that can't get parking, traffic congestion, lost productivity and all that stuff. So, you know, you guys need that vision. I'm sure some of you have got it, but I'm not hearing it from you right there. Sorry.
Okay, oh well. I'm not sure how I'm going to elaborate on it, but I think when you've got locals coming to it or wanting to come into the CBD, but getting pinged for tickets for a start, when there's more and more shops becoming empty, isn't that a sign that maybe there's something wrong? So, you know, to get those people into our Whangarei district, we have to have our district positioned in such a way that it's going to work for them to open their business in Whangarei and to provide the employment that is so desperately needed.
Yeah, I'll touch on with Vince on that one as well. Okay, so I've got your opinion as a ward candidate and as a ticket member of Go Whangarei. Any questions from the audience? For Chrissi? Down the back. Microphone coming, sir.
I'm just curious, the things that you cited with parking and the red tape and that. Does Tauranga not have that stuff? They might have free parking there and they have... I don't...
Mount Whanganui is free parking and it's a very vibrant place to be, and a lot of people that do live just on the outskirts of Tauranga, including Mount Whanganui, will actually not go into the Tauranga CBD because of the parking issues. So I think it would be a huge advantage for us to have free parking in Whangarei.
Okay, so it's the mount you were talking about. That's the big, the mount that's got all those $1 million, zillion dollar buildings all over it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Auckland, that's pretty thriving. Like, that's got a lot of people there, and they don't have free parking. But people deal with that by public transport and parking ride systems and centralising the shopping. So free parking isn't going to fix the CBD.
No, really what's going to fix the CBD is to bring businesses into Whangarei from out of town. And to attract businesses, they need to have a reason why they would want to come here.
Can I ask what that reason is?
What just got
Sorry. Do I talk in it? Right, that's ready. Look, we've got to remember one thing. Whangarei is a small town. It's not a big town. It's not Auckland. We are a tiny town. We have this impression we're very big. We're not. And I think that free parking would make a world of difference. I've been on a holiday around New Zealand only in February, and all the small towns that have free parking and go-getting councils are really going ahead. Here, we're the opposite. Now, I'm not making a political speech, but I do feel if you go to somewhere like Invercargill and you can see offices in Invercargill which are advertised at $45 a week for an office. In Whangarei, you couldn't do that at all because the rates would be more than that in your actual separate rates for that one single office. And this is a problem that comes about here. I have an issue with rates. I've had an issue for the last year. I've spoken to the council, I've put submissions, so did 170 other people put in submissions about the rates increases. Mine went up 300%. So I was really quite concerned about them. This was only because I divided my building separately. Now, if you want to develop Whangarei, we've got to encourage people to make small businesses and make people grow.
Yeah, I can understand, and I can tell you, I went out for dinner on Friday night, okay? It was a nice night. Left the car in town, obviously can't drive. I'll walk down and pick it up, go to the market in the morning, okay? I get down there, the street, Cameron Street's pretty much empty. I get down there, I'm ticketed, $40. I went, thanks very much, council.
And if all you've got for a walk around town and decided while you're out to buy a cup of coffee, it would be the most expensive coffee you'd ever buy in the world. Forget about anywhere in Whangarei.
Yeah, no,
We've got to go
about the free parking issue. Okay, I do agree to a certain extent. There's that sort of extortion that goes on that says to me, don't go out to a restaurant in Whangarei and leave your car there. There's no taxis, right? Taxis are hard to get. I have to walk home. It does you. Anyway.
Yeah, no, actually well said. So basically, free parking, lower the rates, and give the businesses a break.
Okay.
My name is Sophia Shaw-Colley. I attend here because I'm also standing for District House Board. My question for the floor as a council running for Okara Ward. Yeah, my question is, I choose Whangarei to live. I'm moving from Auckland because I don't like Auckland. I don't like too many people. I like the small town feeling. That's the reason I come up here. I try to start my business, but I cannot find affordable place in the central area for me to start a business. I talked to a few people, they say those places only owned by 2 to 3 people and they don't want to lower down the price. And that's the problem. It's not only me, it's quite a lot of people that try to start a business in Whangarei. They found it's really hard. Because the price, right now I need to rent a daily rate at $85 a daily rate for a room. And compared to what you say, $45 for a week, I can survive. I can keep everything in the room. Right now, I only a day, so I get 1 hour earlier to get it set up, and then I need to pick it up again and go out again. It's ridiculous for a business to start up.
Yeah, it doesn't stack up, does it? It does not stack up. And, you know, that's the thing. That's our problem. You know, the council need to lower the fees so that the landlord can then pass on the lower fees to the business owner. Otherwise, we're going to continue to have more empty shops. It's as simple as that.
Right now, the landlord they doesn't mind they have an empty shop. They just don't want to lower the price. That's the problem. They don't mind they have an empty shop. They can keep the shop empty because they don't need to have an income from those shops. They can survive. They just don't want to lower their rate.
Okay, so what they're doing there is they're sitting on the building, the capital gains on the land. So they're still a land bank, right? That's what's happening. So council really does, and this discussion has been going on around the country, okay, needs to actually get stuck in there and say lose it, use it, or lose it. Goes on the market, or we're going to jack up things and we're going to drive you out. I mean, we can't have this. This is exactly right, and we need to lobby central government to make some changes, or council does. Anyway, there was another question. Okay, thanks for that, folks. Okay, we're moving on to Dawn.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brent Mawson. I think the council has might be trying to create the past where that's not where the future is. I think also I'd like to keep our younger people here for a bit longer in terms of their tertiary education. I would like to see the development of a tertiary education hub. My last full-time job here in Whangarei was as Associate Dean of the University of Auckland campus down in Russ Street. You might not believe that the University of Auckland does have a campus in Whangarei, but it does. And part of my job there was actually working with council, or talking with council, and also North Tech and some other tertiary institutions in terms of the concept of developing a situation here, and so that our vision was, and my vision still is, that our young people could do the first year of any university degree in Whangarei, and then once they'd had that opportunity, they would then move out to finish their degrees. But the hardest time of a tertiary education is that first year, particularly if you're moving away from home and moving away from the support base. And I think it would provide a lot stronger support for our young people. So I think that the youth is one area. I think also that the City Council isn't meeting its obligations under the Treaty of Waitangi as well as it should do. And so I do believe that the District Council needs to have much stronger ties with the Maori community, and needs to make sure that those ties really are to do with protection and participation. And so, again, I think it's also a question of social justice, because although we have a democratic system, it's not a fair democratic system. The first past the post isn't fair. It's not fair for those people who can't afford to actually get really involved in the campaigning. It's not cheap to campaign. It's also not fair for those minority groups in the first past the post system, because if you look at the makeup of the council and the makeup of councils throughout New Zealand, it does not reflect the ethnic and cultural makeup of the communities that it's supposed to represent. And so I do think the council needs to spend a lot more time and a lot more energy making sure that those ethnic and cultural groups who aren't represented fully on council are actually given the chance to participate and that they are heard. I think also that we need to spend more time developing the sense of community amongst our communities. I think the village development program is a really good one, except it's not being implemented quickly enough and there's not enough money involved in it. But I know that one of the things I'm involved in at the moment is a group developing a long-term plan for Whangarei, and we are very lucky with the way in which the council is working with us on that. But again, there's not a sense of urgency in the council to develop those communities. And I also think that the walkway development is allowing us to tie those communities together. So basically, that's where I'm at. Yeah.
Thanks. Well considered view. Hang on, folks.
Well, thank you, folks. It's a pleasure for both Anne and I, that's my lovely wife over here sitting over in the corner trying to be inconspicuous, to welcome you to our place. And thank you very much for coming out and wanting to listen to the candidates and what they had to say. I want to thank Albie for organising the meeting, and also Tim for the sound. Thank you, much appreciated. One of the things I've been told is that I'm not good at self-promotion. And I need to rectify that. So I'm going to just very briefly give you a bit of background about one or two things I've done. I was the chairman of the Whangarei Youth Centre for a number of years, chairman of the Ongarahi School Board for a number of years when I was in Whangarei. I spent some time in Auckland and during the process got elected to the Waitemata Electricity Trust, which had a large number of shares in the Waitemata Electric Power Board that then became a company, and the trust was instrumental in stopping an overseas conglomerate from getting full ownership of the power company and asset stripping it, and retained the shares in public ownership, and in the process the shares that the trust owned, the proceeds from that were put into undergrounding many miles of power lines. I was also elected to the Auckland Regional Services Trust, which took over a large number of assets from the old regional council, and those assets included the ownership of the Auckland Harbour Board, the ownership of Water Care Services, which is the water supply company in Auckland, the ownership of the bus company, which now has been unfortunately sold to an overseas owner, and also hundreds of thousands of dollars of Auckland's downtown property. And the Regional Services Trust was set up by the government with the idea that it would sell off all those assets and pay off a large chunk of debt, which it also took on from the old regional council. Well, the Regional Services Trust actually retained all of those assets and paid off all the debt at the same time, and none of those assets were sold until the Regional Services Trust was disbanded. At the time it was disbanded, it had amassed a surplus of about $1.8 billion. So not bad management in economic terms. So that's enough of self-promotion, and I don't like doing that because I'm the sort of person that looks at projects and tries to make things happen, a nuts and bolts person rather than looking back at things that might have happened in the past. And being a nuts and bolts person, I am not the sort of creative person that Chris Carey is over here with all sorts of great ideas about how we should benefit our city and how things could be creatively done. And I think there are many other people in the community like him who have got those kind of good ideas, and I don't see that it's necessarily the council's job to come up with all those ideas. I think we should be using the resources that we have in the community. People like Chris, and whether he gets onto council or not, that's another issue, but there are lots of other people around in the community that have great ideas, and it should be the council's job to take a look at those and facilitate those and to make them happen. And in my view, the council should also be an advocate for a lot of those kind of things as well, which I don't think that councils generally do particularly well. So why am I interested in getting on council? Well, there are a number of things. being a nuts and bolts person, I'm particularly concerned about the fact that, for instance, the council doesn't support its local businesses with the contracts that it awards for council services. Just recently, you'll be aware that the council has awarded a contract to now an overseas-owned conglomerate to do our noise control and environmental services and so on. And I'd like to find a way to ensure that council supports its local businesses by awarding more contracts to local businesses. I'm particularly concerned about the state of our footpaths and our roads, particularly for people who are disabled, and not only disabled. In fact, I was up Parihaka area last night delivering some more of my flyers, and it had been raining. And the footpath was particularly slippery. It grows that black mould that you see on many of the footpaths around the town. And I very nearly lost my footing and ended up flat on my back. And I think it's those kind of things that I'm concerned about. I'd like to see a way for council to improve its roading and its footpaths, not only for disabled people, but for those of us that are able-bodied as well. I'm concerned about the fact that the council appears to have backpedalled on pushing for rail in favour of road. The Regional Transport Committee meeting that I attended, which is a grouping of all of the councils, including the Regional Council, not one word was mentioned about advocating for rail. And I think with the number of trucks we've got on the road, that's one of the things the council should be advocating for, and I think the council needs to be a much greater advocate for all sorts of things, and that's one of them. I'm particularly concerned about the attack that's being made and has been made over the last 2 or 3 years on the council's stance on GMOs and the precautionary approach that it has, and I'm concerned that the minister is looking at overriding local communities' decisions on the issue of GMOs. So I want to ensure that as a strong supporter and a campaigner for that GMO stance, that I'm on council to make sure that council is solidly behind its current stance and is able to advocate for that. I'm particularly concerned also about the legislation that's going before Parliament at the moment that would see the Local Government Commission being given power to forcibly amalgamate councils and also to spin off things like water assets and roading assets and other infrastructure assets into council-controlled organisations. And I want to be on council to ensure that our council is strongly opposed to those kind of things happening as well. So there are a number of other issues too that I'm particularly concerned about, but I won't go into all of those at the present time. But as I say, very much into trying to make things happen and to harness the talents that we have in our community. And as part of that process, those of you that have seen my pamphlets may have noticed that I've had some consultative meetings last weekend, one on Saturday in the Regent Kensington area, and one on Sunday in the Manu area, giving people the opportunity to come and talk to me about the issues that they were concerned about, the things that they thought council should have done better, and the things that they might want to see me do if I'm elected to council. And I've got another one this weekend out at Whangarei. And so that's the kind of consultation that I want, if I'm elected as a councillor, to have, to give the people the opportunity to come and talk to me about the things that they want to see happen. I think I'm going to leave it at that at this stage.
Yeah, so you've done that, Chris. I've seen that in the community halls. That process isn't happening. You're looking to get in there and canvass council if you get elected, to actually committing to get out there, and it brings that whole transparency, community engagement, all those things.
Well, I think generally council has made a pretty good fist of consultation to date. I think it could be improved. I think I'm very much aligned with what Ash said here at the beginning of the evening about consulting with people not only just before the project starts, but all the way through the project, and getting people's feedback and making sure that other ideas that could be incorporated are incorporated into the project. I mean, for instance, to give you an example in the case of here, when the new development took place out here, one of the things that we said to council is, well, look, you're digging a big trench through here, you're putting new drainage and what have you through. How about you put some services, some water and some sewerage issue through here to deal with that issue? Because the plan is to develop, as we've done up here, develop an apartment for ourselves in this building. But our water supply and our sewage has to go out there. So for this apartment, we've had to spend an awful lot of money in getting water and sewage from the road on the other side. So there was a big trench going to be done down here, and we said to council, well, why don't you incorporate the water and sewage supply down here for all the apartments that you want to see happen down this area?
What was their reply to that?
The reply to that was, well, it's not part of the plan, and we haven't got the money for it at the moment anyway, so we're just going to dig the trench and do the drainage for the area over there and the lights down here, and that's as far as it goes. So I think council need to be better at consulting through the course of a project as well. And I think, from what I've seen, I think a lot of councillors don't do enough in the way of consultation with their constituents. And after all, as a councillor, my view is that I'm a representative for those people, so I need to know what their concerns are and what they want to see council do.
Excellent. Okay, folks, questions from the floor? Questions for Chris? He's covered quite a range of things here. Okay, I'll ask another. Would you see yourself... Sorry?
I'd like to comment. I'm very pleased to see that Chris has actually said he's going to represent us, because no other council so far, or council and potential council, has said they want to represent us. Most of them want to tell us what they want, and Chris is asking us what we need and what we want. And I think that is really good, because from my own point of view, because I live in this area too, and I've done a lot of developments in these areas, and it is really important that you talk to the people before things go ahead and not after they've done it. The council has done this so many times. The walkway and a lot of efforts I could mention. We put up suggestions for the walkway 14 years ago, almost identical, and we had nothing. Nobody came back and said, look, it's a good idea of yours, can you give us some more input into this? Before they went ahead, they did it, then they came along and were proudly introduced their new idea to put a walkway around. Well, the only reason the walkway is put up is we stopped them building council flats down here.
So, Chris, what are your strengths? Would you say policy writing, submission writing? I mean, I've read enough policies that you put out there for your affiliation with political party. So when you have those consultation meetings, and if you have a group of people like here today and they've got an issue and you're representing them, you'll go through that process?
Well, I think I do have some strengths in terms of putting ideas together and drafting them up in a format and then presenting them. How successful that's been, I'm not sure, because I've done submissions to the council over the last 5 years about my concerns about the level of interest payments that the council has on its loans, which, by the way, for Alan here is currently $8 to $9 million a year of ratepayers' money goes to pay interest on the council's borrowing. And that's another thing I'd like to get involved in, is trying to find better ways for the council to fund itself so that it's not paying that kind of level of ratepayers' money out to pay interest on loans, which is certainly not doing anything to develop the city. It's not providing extra fencing for the dog park or better lighting for the walkway or anything else.
Well done.
Yeah, my question.
Hang on, wait for a mic.
I've had a few talks with Chris over the last little while since I've got to know him, and one suggestion he spoke to me about was ability for councils to create their own banks and to tap into the fractional banking system, so which is a cheap way of creating cash for projects. So if you got elected for council, would you push for that to form our own council bank and to perhaps reduce the cost of borrowing money?
Well, I said earlier, I think that councils need to be advocates much more for things that will benefit their community. And one of the things I'd like to develop is a multi-council approach, initially with all the Northland councils at least, to government to change its policy to allow councils to access Reserve Bank funding at either no interest or extremely low rates of interest. Because currently the councils borrow at 4 to 6% through the local government funding agency, which is fine for the banks and the other institutions that lend that money, but it's not fine for ratepayers. And I think we could get a multi-council approach to government and try and force them to allow us to borrow from the Reserve Bank, which is nothing new. I mean, it was been done in the past in New Zealand. The strength of our dairy industry is very much on the back of the fact that it used to have access to Reserve Bank overdraft at 1% interest. So that farmers could get paid the minute that they sold their produce, and the dairy board got repaid when it sold that product to overseas purchasers, and it then repaid the overdraft to the Reserve Bank. So nothing new about it, it's just that current government policy doesn't allow it to happen, and it should, because there's no way in the world that there is justice in ratepayers having to pay 3 or 4 times over for a community project through the amount of interest that they have to pay.
Okay, that's the questions for Chris. So should we move on to our final candidate? Well done, Chris.